Welcome to the online class of biology. We were studying about biotechnology, that is chapter 11, biotechnology principles and processes. And we have studied that there are various tools that are needed to do the practice of biotechnology, isn't it? So they include what? The restriction endonucleases. I told how restriction endonucleases are very useful in the case of biotechnology. Okay, so when we treat the DNA with restriction endonucleases, they will see the palindromic sequences and they search for the palindromic sequences, and through that sequences they cut the DNA. Okay, so you will get a number of fragments. These fragments, okay, may contain the gene which is your gene of your interest also will be there. So how will you separate this fragment, DNA fragment? Okay, so for that we have to use a technique known as gel electrophoresis. So the fragments which are produced by the treatment of DNA with restriction endonucleases produces a number of fragments of DNA. So these fragments can be separated by a technology known as what? Gel electrophoresis. Is it clear? Gel electrophoresis. And we have studied that DNA is a negatively charged molecule, isn't it? So what this technique involves, okay, by forcing this DNA fragments to move towards the anode under an electric field through a medium, and the medium which is used usually is agarose medium. Okay, have you studied about agarose? Last year you have studied, isn't it? Agarose is a semi-solid substance which is obtaining from the algae. So this agarose, okay, can be used as a medium, and in that, what, under electric field, okay, this fragments, DNA fragments being negatively charged molecules will be forced to move towards the anode. Okay, so and the DNA fragments will move according to the, means they will move towards the anode, but their speed, their the rate or the speed with which they move will be depending on their size. So smaller molecules will move fast and through the agarose gel medium, and the larger molecules, larger fragments, they move slowly. Okay, the smaller fragments, they move fastly towards the anode. Okay, so let's see one diagram. That is, this is one typical agarose gel electrophoresis medium. So you can see that here some wells are there. Okay, can you see the wells into which the fragments, DNA fragments, will be added? And then what will happen? This DNA fragments, this is the agarose gel. Okay, and through this agarose gel medium, the DNA fragments start moving. Okay, and their movement, how it will be? The smaller fragments will be towards the, means they will move fast, so they will move fast towards the anode, and in this region anode will be there. Okay, so to the anode, the smaller fragments will come fast and the larger fragments will come later. Understood? So once the DNA get separated, okay, due to what, their difference in the size, their movement also will be different. The smaller particles, they will move fast through the agarose gel medium, and the larger particles, they remain slow. So after separating this DNA fragments, how can we visualize this? For this, we can use a stain known as ethidium bromide. What it is? Ethidium bromide. Okay. And then after staining with this, we can just expose this, okay, this DNA to the UV rays. Okay. So you can see that after the staining process, after staining with this particular stain, what is the stain used? Ethidium bromide. Okay, so this, using this, it will be treated and then it will be exposed to UV rays. Okay, now we can see that orange colored bands of DNA in the ethidium bromide stained gel exposed to UV light. Okay, so the separated bands of DNA can be cut out or can be removed from this and extracted from the gel piece, and that process, the extraction of DNA fragments from the agarose gel, is known as elution. Okay, elution. And the DNA fragments purified in this way can be used in constructing recombinant DNA by joining them with cloning vectors. Okay, once the gene of our interest is found out, can be used for any other purposes. Okay, so what do you mean by elution? The process of extracting the DNA fragments from the agarose gel. Okay, so that process is called what? Elution. Elution. Understood? Elution. Now, the next thing that we need to ensure the biotechnological method is what? Cloning vectors. Okay, cloning vectors. So another thing, okay, another tool that is needed for the biotechnological method is cloning vector. I have told you once, clones are used as the vectors, okay, to introduce the gene of our interest to the host cell. So in this way, you can see that plasmids, okay, then what, bacteriophages, etc., they are having the capacity to divide within the cell, isn't it? So bacteriophages is a favorable type of cloning vector because what they have high number of copy numbers, high copy numbers they are having. Okay, so, then on the other hand, some plasmids will have only very few what copies, and some are having many copies of the same structure. Okay, so I told the bacteriophages are a very good vector because their copy number, okay, will be very high. If we are able to link a foreign gene into the plasmid, what will happen? As the plasmid get multiplied in a cell, the number of this foreign gene also will be multiplied, isn't it? So in this way, linking of foreign DNA, okay, is becoming very easy. Okay, so in addition to this, they also support what? High copy number. Means what? The number of gene multiplied or the number of plasmid formed in from the particular plasmid in which we have introduced the gene. Okay, number of copies can be formed, and the vectors are nowadays modified in such a way that they increase the copy number. Means within one procedure only you should get a number of copies of the same gene. So now we are going to see what are the qualities a vector should have. What are the features of a good vector? Okay, so first is origin of replication. We have studied that, isn't it? If a gene, foreign gene is linked to a DNA fragment or DNA which is having origin of replication, then only that gene can be multiplied. So in origin of replication, okay, the origin of replication is a very important feature of a vector. If it is there, then only the gene get multiplied. Okay, and another thing is what, that is, it is responsible for controlling the copy number of linked DNA. So if a number of copies are needed, okay, then we should what, link that particular gene into a vector whose origin of replication supports large number of linked DNA. Okay, so in this way, origin of a vector should have a what, the a vector should have an origin of replication. Okay, an origin of replication is a must because then only the linked DNA can be multiplied, and the origin of replication also supports what? Large number of copies. Okay, so I told already, if we want to get a number of copies, then we should use a vector whose origin supports a large number of copies. Okay, then next is what? Selectable marker. So a marker is used to identify, okay, listen carefully, that is, a marker is nothing but it is a piece of gene only, okay, which by which uh, it helps in identifying the what? Transformants and non-transformants. Okay, non-transformants means what do you mean by non-transformants? The see, or even though we said this very easily, like what? Restriction endonuclease, using restriction endonuclease we have to cut the DNA. So these processes are not so easy, okay, as we say. It becomes successful, but still it is a tedious process. So just imagine that the genes which you are supposed to introduce into the genome of an organism, and you you cut the DNA of the the gene which you are going to introduce, and then you cut the vector, and then you inoculated both of this together. And then what happened? You are thinking that ligase also you added, and you are thinking that the gene of your interest is successfully integrated, but this cannot be always happened. Okay, so what the chance of this integration is very less. So there will be cells which are not transformed or not received the particular gene of your interest. Understood? Is it clear? Means all the DNA whichever we have used for integrating the gene of our interest may not get the gene of interest. Okay, only few might have successfully integrated the gene. So you have to identify the successful ones from the other one. Okay, so this ones which are having what? The gene of our interest or recombination successfully in which it is happened, they are known as transformants. So transformants and what? Non-transformants can be selectively identified by using a marker. Understood? So marker means here what it is? It is simple gene only. It's a gene, okay, which may be, for example, a gene which is resistant to certain kind of antibiotics can be used as a marker. Understood? So they can be used as a selectable marker for E. coli. Okay, so normal E. coli cells will not have this particular gene which is resistant to antibiotics. Only the transformants. Is it clear? Transformants means what? The genome which is having the gene of your interest. So along with that, okay, vector. If you are using a vector, okay, you are trying to introduce the gene of interest into the vector, but all the vectors may not be having that particular gene of interest. So only few will have. So how you will separate this transformants from the non-transformants? By using the selectable marker. So markers are what? Actually genes only. Genes, okay. So in the vector there will be certain genes which are resistant to antibiotics. So normal E. coli cells will not be showing any resistant to any of this antibiotics. Only what? The transformants. So these transformants will be resistant to antibiotics like ampicillin, chloramphenicol, tetracycline, or kanamycin. Understood? The next thing that a particular vector needs to have is, okay, the recognition sites. Okay, what are they? Recognition sites for the commonly used restriction enzymes. Okay, so we have studied that restriction enzymes will work through the palindromic sequences, isn't it? So the recognition site should be only one. Okay, in a particular vector, the recognition site should be only, means that is preferable. If more than one recognition sites are there, then what will happen? It may generate what, several fragments, and this will complicate the gene cloning. This question was asked once. Okay, why it is said to have what, only one recognition site in a vector? Okay, because if there are more than one recognition sites for different restriction enzymes, then what, this will complicate the gene cloning and also will generate different fragments. Okay, so into the what recognition sites only the alien DNA will be done. Okay, so this, so you can notice here, this is one vector that is used. Okay, E. coli cloning vector PBR322. So this is a vector known as what, PBR322, and this is showing different cloning sites or restriction site like HIND3, okay, EcoR1, BAMH1, SAL1, PVU2, PS1, CLA1, etc. Okay, then what origin of replication is there, then antibiotic resistant genes are there, that are two different types of antibiotic resistant genes are there, ampicillin resistant and tetracycline resistance. Okay, and ROP is coding for the protein involved in the replication of the plasmid. Understood? So these are what, various sites. Now we can ligate, we can introduce the gene of our interest, okay, into BAMH1 site of tetracycline. Okay, so this is the tetracycline region and here it is the BAMH1. So this is one recognition site. So into this we can add the DNA. Understood? Then, so in this PBR322, a foreign gene, okay, foreign gene or alien gene can be added here in BAMH1 region of tetracycline resistant region. Understand? So if we do like this, or here, understood? So in this region they can be added any gene, and if we add in tetracycline resistant gene region of, or in BAMH1 of tetracycline resistant region, that particular cell, okay, or E. coli will lose the capacity of tetracycline resistance, means they won't be able to live in a medium containing tetracycline. So what we can do, so why this is happening, because a gene will be introduced in the, where, in the so as the genes were introduced in the tetracycline resistant region, they won't be resistant anymore. Okay, so the transformants growing on ampicillin containing medium. Okay, so how we can do this? The recombinant plasmids will lose tetracycline resistance due to insertion, that I told. Okay, and they can be selected out. Okay, means the recombinants can be selected from the non-recombinants by plating the transformants on ampicillin containing medium. Understood? So ampicillin resistance is still there, isn't it? What only is lost by that particular genome, that is tetracycline resistance. So the transformants growing on ampicillin containing medium will be transferred to a medium containing tetracycline. Okay, the recombinants will grow in ampicillin containing medium but not in the tetracycline containing medium. Why? Because recombinants means what, they got the gene, and where the gene got integrated in the tetracycline resistant region, so they cannot grow on the tetracycline containing medium, but they can grow where, in the ampicillin containing medium. Okay, so non-recombinants can grow on the medium containing both the antibiotics, because there are no genes are integrated. So they are retaining the resistance of their, means resistant to the antibodies. So is it clear? Non-recombinants can grow on the medium containing both the antibiotics because no integration of gene took place there. Understood? Then in like this, you can see that one antibiotic resistant gene helps in selecting the transformants, whereas the other one, okay, other antibiotic resistance gene, that will get inactivated due to the insertion of alien DNA. Okay, when a alien DNA is inserted into a particular gene or DNA, that gene will get inactivated, isn't it? It's they cannot be read by the polymerases and they cannot produce the protein. Is it clear? So till now we have discussed various tools that are used in biotechnology, like what the first one is restriction endonucleases. They are also known as what, molecular scissor. Then after cutting the DNA, okay, the fragment should be separated. So this is done with the help of what, gel electrophoresis. Then next what we studied, cloning vectors, isn't it? Cloning vectors are used to what, to send the foreign gene into the host cell. Okay, and we were studying about the various following the features or the favorable features of a vector. So a vector should have an origin of replication, it should have a selectable marker, it should have preferably one cloning site. This much we have studied. So we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.